Thanks, Lamar.
Cody starts with a C.
Huh?
Cody, you spell Cody with a C?
Yeah.
I don't see anybody else here. There's a few other people in this class.
Well, let's do a presentation, even if it's important.
Well, just gonna have to present them to me in the office then before they get the grade. All right, I'm up here today. Really is only for the presentations and asking questions if you have them. So we have about half of our Hattiesburg students here that are going to present, and I'm going to pull pieces of paper out of my hand for the order. So I've got Aaron is actually going first, and Lamar's going second. Cody's going third. Okay, so would you like to?
What's the best way you want me to?
Oh, you've already got a laptop.
Yeah.
You can plug right in here, right?
Good.
Yeah. That's awesome.
All right.
That way you. I'm just going to move this over right here. Did yours have that little? Let me plug that in for you.
Yeah.
Actually, taking it over.
Have my mouse with me too.
Did you want me to get your mouse?
I have to eat my legs.
Okay. But do you have one of those? Yeah, you've got one of those ports.
All right. It's displaying everything on here, but then it's just displaying that on there.
I'm sorry, what?
It's just like all of ArcMap's displaying here, but then.
Oh, I think that's your settings.
Okay.
Let's make sure they see this on cast. Okay. So is this your?
Yeah.
Is that thing on? So I think lost over there. There's the map. I think if you go to the displays and say,
I have to change this every time.
Those are
extend the displays. So I think we said duplicate these displays. Then you'll see the same thing on both.
Okay.
Now everything's going to be smaller. Here may not be easy to deal with. Is this where you work?
Yep.
All right, so Aaron Holbrook is going to go first. And, well, like I said, maybe 5-10 minutes each or so.
Is their kid watching the classroom or that? I don't remember.
What's that? Oh, they're watching the front.
Super cool.
Can you all hear us down there? Can you all hear us or no? On the coast?
I don't think they can hear us.
They can or no?
Yeah, they're just talking.
Hey, coast people. Hey, can you all hear us? I think the volume is probably turned down. They can't even see us.
Well, if you want to fix that, I'm gonna go get water.
Okay, that's a good idea.
It's not like we don't have a lot of time since it's only half an hour.
Yeah. I don't even think they see us. I think that they turned some stuff off somehow. They must have. Now, are you going to be working for Von Nauen once you start up as a graduate student, or you got to be a TA? You're going to be TA?
Yeah.
Cool.
You can be TA for.
Not sure.
But they probably don't make those decisions. So. I wonder what they say. God, somebody agrees.
What is it?
Every class I've had that has like the shared thing, I'm waiting for like them to not have it on and not know we're listening, and then just say something really like
Inappropriate or
inappropriate or unexpected that they think no one's watching, and it's just like, well.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spell out. I'm gonna go downstairs. If Jennifer can call them, then that's good.
It's not your fault.
He's in the
Become anime.
Will you tell him sweatpants are allowed in public? Are you wearing sweatpants, Julie? No, I want to.
Is your vision?
I'm making a fun.
What's it?
Because he's like,
What conversation's that?
You're like talking about clothes and what to wear, what not to wear.
Oh, that's right. No, I remember.
I could never wear glasses.
I can see far away, just give me so.
Oh.
I mean, I can, no, I can see you.
Yeah. What's that sign say out there? You can't even see the sign.
Yeah. You guys pretty well.
Hey, don't taunt the visually challenged.
Everyone in my family is having to wear glasses or will soon have to wear glasses. And I'm the guy who's just like looking at the computer 24/7, and they're like, "You're gonna go blind." And I'm like, "I have better vision than everyone."
Yeah, mine went out. It was 7th grade for me. I was at the back of the classroom in algebra, and she saw me like squinting all the time, and I had no idea I had a problem.
Yeah, and you put his on, you're like, wow.
Well, this is what the world looks like. Yeah. I don't know. I'd kill for LASIK if I could afford it.
I scared myself one day. It was in high school, and it was in English class. I remember this. And suddenly, like, from like here, like everything started going blurry.
Did you migraine?
And it just kept going. No, I didn't have a migraine, but it was just like getting blurry, and then my entire right eye was just all blurry, and I'm like, am I going blind? So I'm like closing one eye, and checking like, yeah, I can't see anything on this one. And then like a few hours later, it was just slowly going, ooh.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
nope.
I'm not. I mean, a lot of people get migraines. Will experience that. For me, I'll get them, but luckily, most people get migraines and get them a lot. But with me, it's usually like once or twice a year where that'll happen, where my peripheral vision will go out. So it's like I've got tunnel vision, and then in that all the area that's blacked out, over time it starts turning. It's like a kaleidoscope. So you start seeing flashes, and then numbness kicks in, and then it's the first time it happened, I was freaked out. I think I was having a stroke.
Are they refining it?
Nope.
They know that it's definitely going to use off.
Isn't class supposed to start with something that said?
They don't.
Isn't there supposed to be a TA in there?
There would be nice if there was, but this semester there's no TAs on the campus.
So like a
It's really,
Jennifer type person.
that's why Jennifer's gonna call. So we can just go ahead and.
Okay.
And,
All right. Okay, so as this was my first GIS course, so I tried to keep this simple and apply it to what I do my research with, which is gopher tortoises. And this is one of the research sites where I did egg collection. And so one of my goals was, like just with this assignment, was to take, look at gopher tortoise burrows. And I have all of my waypoints for all of my gopher tortoise burrows, import those, and then basically create a buffer to look at surrounding habitat, and looking at canopy cover, elevation, and soil type, which are all very important for tortoises. Looking at what combinations of those are most common within these buffer areas, and then applying them to this entire gopher tortoise refuge. So we can apply like more effort into certain areas, like looking for more burrows, but also if there's limitations such as canopy cover, then focus on opening those up more to encourage population growth there. So the first thing I did was import all my waypoints, which are very tiny there. And this is all in Camp Shelby. This is T44, the gopher tortoise refuge there, and they manage this very well, but only in the last like 5 years has it really started to open up more due to the burns. It takes several burn cycles to really start killing off all this brush layer. So you can see they're kind of, these burrows tend to be concentrated along these roads where they kept them open in the past. So the future hope is that they'll start spreading out away from these roads. So after I had my points in, then I did a 100-meter buffer around each one. And then I added in my elevation, canopy cover, and soil layers. And then I did this display on here is weird. Whenever I do it up here, it cuts everything off. So then using zonal statistics and that buffer layer I threw in, I did zonal statistics as a table for both the digital elevation map and the canopy cover map, which is that just P02, et cetera there. And what I found out from those zonal statistics, I found out my minimum elevation, and then from my canopy cover, the maximum canopy cover that they would tolerate. And so, and then that was turned into my, the zone EM and then the zone cover layers. And then I had a soil map that I imported, and I used the tabulate area to figure out how much area within those buffers were covered by different soil types. And then I calculated the total area of each soil type and then assigned a number to each one of the soil types as a priority. And then, let's see. So then after, so then I used raster calculator with a conditional statement to print out, to create a layer where basically showing me where anywhere where the elevation is above 176 feet and where canopy is less than 64 feet. And so this is what I got. And so you can see, like, basically elevation, all lower elevations are kind of low value. And then you've got higher elevations, which work, but then you've got high canopy, which are, we'll probably explain those scattered pixels throughout there. So then I wanted to combine this data with the soil profile data I had. And so the soil data I had was in vector format, so it had to be converted to raster. And then once it was converted to a raster file, the map data was reclassified. And so instead of having soil names, I assigned them a number based on their importance or their priority. So then all I had to do after that was multiply the values for each soil layer by the cover and elevation data. And so my end result was this here. So these areas, so 1 being the best, and 5 being the least important throughout this section here of T44. And so you can see most of these burrows mirror this area here. And then a couple of these, and I should change the color here so they pop, but you've got some burrows over here kind of isolated, and if we're going to do more burrow surveys, we can concentrate along these areas here. And you can see there is an example, like an occurrence here where you've got some burrows within a somewhat lower quality spot. But once you remove this layer, you can see that it's an open field. And so there's food there, but the soil's not the best quality. So it's kind of a trade-off, I guess, is why they're located there. So let's see, and that's basically it. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
So they like the open fields?
Yeah, they like the more open the better, but I mean basically the whole southeast used to be like a golf course underneath pine trees. Like so 96 million acres of the southeast coastal plain used to be huge pines with grass underneath, and so there was a lot of solar exposure to the ground, and so they could live even with scattered trees. They were fine. But then once we started suppressing fire, then we get this brushy layer now where nothing grows. Basically, all the brush is about 12 feet high and no sunlight hits the forest floor. So there's no...
It's a real big pain to walk through.
It's that. They can't bask, so they can't thermoregulate, but also you don't have any herbaceous ground cover for them to feed on. So they don't have anything to eat. So they can't bask, they can't eat. And most often, and the other problem is the soils that they like are kind of a limited resource in Mississippi anyway. And so if anything gets changed and they get displaced, they can't really survive on a lot of these other soil types. If it's got a lot of clay in it, they can't dig the burrows. It takes a lot more energy to dig a burrow. So they can't, if they need to move, if it's on a sandy soil, they can dig a burrow in a couple weeks, because they can be up to 30 feet long and 15 feet deep. So if you're doing that in sand, it's pretty easy for them. But if you have to chisel your way through clay and gravel, it takes a lot more energy, especially for tortoise, which doesn't get much energy from consuming grass anyway. So
cool. Anybody else have any questions? We had another student do gopher tortoise related project like 6 years ago.
that may have been Will Selman.
No,
he wasn't.
Shay Hammond.
Shay Hammond. Okay, yeah.
Been a long while.
Yeah, he's been gone a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 2008, so that'd be 7 years. Yeah. Maybe, yeah, 7, right? 5.
Yeah, he was gone. Yeah, I think probably 2008. I think he was here for about a year last summer.
You can, let me. Okay.
I feel like everyone on the coast is just confused.
Can you all hear us on the coast?
I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay, good. We didn't know that you could hear us at the beginning of the course, but I guess at some point that was fixed. I wonder if that's because of somebody else presented, because we called down and it answered, but nobody was. It didn't seem like you heard us at first. Could you hear us like when the class started or no?
No.
Okay. So did you have to do something on your end to fix that, or did it just all of a sudden start working?
Yeah, we had to try everything on.
Okay. All right. Okay, so yeah, I don't think we can turn things on from our end, except for our components. All right, you think you'd be all set?
I think so.
All right, now Aaron's, he presented on his own laptop, so that won't be recorded, but this is being recorded if you ever wanted to go back and look at Lamar's presentation here. We've only got, I don't know exactly what time you all joined us on the coast, but we've only got 3 of the, I think there's actually 7 people enrolled up here. So this will be the middle component, and come over to Lamar and we'll talk about it.
Okay, well, my project is accessing factional control of Syrian cropland. That's a picture of some farmland right there. So a little bit of my research focus, purpose was to ascertain the aerial extent of each faction's control of cropland within Syria on a particular date. And that date was March 1st, 2015. Some of the data I used collected was MODIS Aqua data from EVI raster data and I got that from Earth Explorer. EVI stands for Enhanced Vegetation Index. It's 250 meter spatial resolution and a 16-day temporal resolution. And here we go. And in order to find where each fraction was located on March 1st, I collected this map from University of Texas at Austin Libraries. This shows where exactly each faction controlled on March 1st. Red are the loyalist forces, the government forces. Green are rebel forces. Gray is Islamic State. And the yellow area is Rojava, which is our autonomous Kurdish forces, or West Kurdistan. So this is the model I've created. The first part, which starts at the left and ends at the center, created a raster image that displayed cropland and non-cropland. And this is the output, the center green output area. I'll show you the output of that. This is it right here. Essentially, I used an extract by mask to only get the extent of Syria. And I did a raster calculator so that any cell with an EVI value greater than 1400 was assigned 1 or green. You can see that means it's cropland area. And anything else below that was assigned non-cropland. And so next I created shapefiles which show the extent of each faction's control. And oops. And that's displayed here. This shows this is a digitized. I use that image of collected from University of Texas to create digitized extents of each faction's control. And then I used, each color represents a layer, a separate layer. And so I used these to, I ran these faction shapefiles to create a separate raster image that's displayed here. This shows cropland and each faction's control of cropland. So, and also when I ran the model, the output, it created a new field that shows cropland area, and it calculated the total cropland area in kilometers squared for each layer, for each one of these cropland rasters. And so this is a little bit, these are some statistics that I created. This graph shows the area of factional extent. As you can see, this is pretty much how much area each faction controls on this particular date. So you can see here the loyalists control the most territory. This shows the area of cropland that each faction controls. And here, the Islamic State held the most cropland. And this is sort of reiterating what I said. So does anyone have any questions?
That was pretty cool. So the go back for a few maps.
Sure.
So like that was you digitized it, meaning you manually drew in.
I manually digitized this map.
Okay. So that was like a hard copy map.
Mm-hmm.
How did you do that? What process did you use to do that?
I just uploaded into ArcMap, and I georeferenced the image to a serious shapefile that was already georeferenced, and then I just used the editor feature and drew the outline of each faction. So I just painstakingly draw the extent of this red area, and then I'll do the green or the gray.
Painstakingly.
Yeah. It was a little tough at first, but I think pretty
Hope we didn't cause you too much pain. The graphics look pretty good. So the next one, you created that yourself.
That's the output of
That's
digitation.
pretty good, like cartography, I'd say. Good job. And then, so the result was basically saying,
the result of the model is here.
yeah,
So I pretty much
cropland.
overlaid this layer over this one and ran a zonal statistics here. And within the attribute table of each one of these layers contains the total cropland area.
Right.
And the cropland is a single raster cell.
Is there a reason that you did this, or was it just for fun?
Well, the cropland data, I'm doing something in Dr. Carter's class today, showing the change in cropland during the Civil War. And so I just decided
related it to it.
Mhm.
Great. Good, thanks, Lamar.
No problem.
Anybody else have any questions? All right, so off to Cody. So you use zonal statistics as table, and you use
You broke it.
all right. I walked into this apartment one time on the wrong floor.
So I've been working on a project for a whole year now, and I'm still not finished with it, but this was focused on the physical aspect of it, where I was doing a study on tornado shelter suitability throughout Mississippi. Now, the problem I had with this was that, as most people know, Mississippi is prone to heavy tornado activity, and it's not as well known for some reason that we're actually considered the Dixie Alley, and it experienced more like higher category tornadoes from F3 to F5 compared to other places such as Tornado Alley, but that's a different topic. Now, we have shelters located all around Mississippi, but there was the problem where we think they might not reach a suitable standard. And through this study, we developed a suitability model based on social and physical factors. We haven't fully gotten the social ones finished, but for this one, we use physical variables, and we analyze them to determine if shelters are suitable on a physical level. The methodology I used was the model used a block level shapefile of Mississippi as a spatial extent, and hospitals, major roads such as the highway and Natchez Trace, and all toxic and hazardous sites would be used as physical factors, and flood zones would be included at the end to determine if it was in a flood zone, it was automatically unsuitable because we can't have a shelter in any flood zone because it's common for flash floods to happen with tornadoes. So only those within no flood zone were allowed. This is the model, and it's kind of hard to read, but I'm going to go through exactly what it does. I've stepped it from 1 to 6. Step 1 would be measuring the Euclidean distance around all the physical variables, such as the hospitals, the roads, the toxic sites. And we used step 2 to reclassify the distance measured into 6 separate classes. These classes were set up as 0 to 1,609 meters, and so on, which is similar to a mile. Step 3, we would multiply the reclassified raster images and by an average score weighted from a survey. The survey was given to students and other teachers around the geography area. Step 4, the 3 individual images would be added together. That there is just the 3 images added together first as an output of what we're currently at. Step 5, the model would multiply the new collective raster image by a flood binary file, which was set up as in if it has a flood zone X, it gets a 1. If it doesn't have flood zone X, it's a 0. Flood zone X meaning no flood experienced in this area. And any variables that match that would automatically be negative. And from there, we extract that value from the suitability image that has all the suitability variables in it onto each shelter that was applied onto the study. So every shelter that was located in specific areas with like a high or low suitability, that value would be extracted onto the shelter. And this is the result of it. So basically what we did here is this is the entire suitability map, where black obviously means that it has low physical suitability, such as within the flood zones here. These areas were considered unsuitable because we don't have any flood zone data, so we can't get an accurate representation of it. But in upland areas that are not really flooding, you can see it's common to have a high suitability. However, most of the red and yellow comes from toxic sites being located near physical variables with the shelters. Whew.
Cool. So flood zone X was, those were suitable areas, right?
Flood zone X is the suitable area, yes.
Right. So it had to be in a flood zone X?
It has to be in a flood zone X because there was another study done where they're like, you can consider it within flood zone AE, I believe, where it's like a 500-year range. But we decided we don't want any floods to be possible if it's going to be a suitable shelter. So if it's in a flood zone X, it's okay. If it's not a flood zone X, it's wrong.
So go back to your model for a second.
Yeah. This is the Euclidean distance. Everything was done at the block pop extent. Reclassify, then it was raster calculated with the variables found from the survey. After that, they're all sent up and added together to make a physical model. Then we went with the binary flood model and multiplied those together, and then we extracted the values onto the shelters.
Okay, so the final output was the shelters and whether or not they...
It was pretty much scoring them on their physical...
Right, whether or not they were suitable, or it was a scale.
Yes. Cool. I had a graph. That's what we got from it, just before the flood, where that's how many shelters would average around a specific scoring. The scoring was just, we took the highest number and found divisible by 5. And so we just separated it in different levels. most of them ended up being high, mostly because they're common around major roads and such, which was a major variable. A lot of people like major roads around their shelters.
Well, that's great. Any other questions? All right. So I think you get the extractor thing. All right, sounds good. Y'all did a great job. I appreciate it. Don't know where everybody else decided not to come. That's not good. For I guess this will be recorded so people can come back and look at it later. But for those that didn't come, and for the coast people, I think basically if you turn in something similar to that slideshow presentation, I think a few slides, and then then you don't have to actually present it. If then I can interact with you through email. So send me the presentation, and I can ask you questions through email. So the paper itself is due. When did I say? Let's say December 8th. Yeah, I don't know if December 8th will work. It's kind of
December 9th.
yeah. It needs to be earlier, maybe December 7th.
Okay.
No. Yeah, so I have to turn in grades by Friday, I'm pretty sure. Do you know if that's right? You're teaching a course, it sounded like.
Well, I'm doing a labs, and then I turn to the coordinator. So.
What does the coordinator need to turn in?
By next week.
Yeah, December 7th. I mean, sorry, May 7th should be good.
You just want.
Yeah. You guys are short write-up, one pager. Yeah. Yep. And then for the graduate students, I think I said 10 page. I meant like 10 is the most pages. It doesn't have to be 10 page, but it could be much smaller. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Well, if anybody has any questions on a project, let me know. I'll be here. Raymond might be. He said he was going to be late today, which is fine. So I'll be here until Raymond gets here, and then I'll be in my office. Actually, I have a meeting with somebody who wants help on GIS, but that's not for an hour or two. So I'll be around. I'll be in here. If I'm not in front of the camera, like I'm in front of the camera right now. But if you have a question, I'm not in front of the camera, just say so, and we'll go ahead and let everybody go if they want to. I'm gonna get a drink real quick, but I'll be in the class.
So are you a geography student?
No.
Ah.
I have biology.
These classes have had so far where it's biology students taking GIS.
Yep. They like to see that on CV.
It's a skill to have.
Yeah, well, I've used it in the past, but it had been since like 2009, so a lot of things have changed. And yeah, with my research, I didn't really needed to use it, so it's like my last time.
Giants. Related to the new ones.